So welcome, Matthew. I'm glad you could be here.
Thank you very much.
I want to start out by saying that let's pretend that I'm someone who's been listening to, should I call it gossip, about affordable housing.
Yeah.
And I'm hearing all different kinds of stories, but I'm figuring that maybe you will have a wealth of information today.
Well, I'm on the Select Board and I'm on the Affordable Housing Trust, and I've been working on the Station Area Committee, which is working on affordable housing near the train station. So I would say I am as well informed maybe as anybody. How about that?
Good.
And yeah, there is a lot of information out there. And one of the things that's a little bit confusing is that I think there are some multiple desires in town and for different kinds of affordable housing. So we could start with the subsidized housing, which would be the housing authority, like Pine Tree Park,
yes,
which is actually subsidized by the state.
Yeah.
But I think primarily what we have been speaking about is inexpensive rental or purchase units. So whether those are built inexpensively or subsidized by the town or by someone else, rather than an ongoing deed-restricted, like subsidized housing, we're talking about making housing available to people in Littleton who can't otherwise afford it.
Yeah, let's hope.
Yeah. So there are a couple different categories. I think the senior housing is obviously very important and has been talked about a great deal recently. Mm-hmm. But also what we call workforce housing. A lot of the people who work in Littleton, a lot of our first responders can't afford to live here. Right. Because there aren't really very many small houses or apartments available. Right. So one of the things another category that we're looking at is what is called workforce housing, mm-hmm. for single people or for young professionals without kids, for example. Mm-hmm. And there are a lot of different initiatives going on right now. Yeah. Yeah. Well,
talking about the seniors and senior housing and all that, sometimes our seniors feel like they're not able to live in town with senior housing because there is a lottery, right? Mm-hmm. And so you have to be on that to get something. Mm-hmm. And is that so open to everybody? How does this Littleton senior get, I don't want to say top of the list,
yeah,
but you know what I mean.
I do. Because we're what's called a housing choice community, any subsidized housing, and I may not be getting this exactly right, I believe that any state subsidized housing has to be put up statewide for the lottery.
Okay.
So what I think a lot of people in town are trying to do is to develop affordable, inexpensive housing that isn't necessarily subsidized by the state. So it maybe is built with a grant or with some other assistance, but it's essentially just inexpensive housing. Uh-huh. So that there isn't a lottery. There's basically people can rent or buy it just because it's just another house or apartment.
Good. That's good to know.
Yeah.
Really, I mean, these are things that townspeople need to know for sure.
Yeah.
Not gossip.
Right. So I can tell you the things that are going on right now because there's a lot of them.
Good.
I mentioned the Station Area Committee, which is there's a large plot of land just uphill from the train station.
Yeah.
Which is undeveloped.
Okay.
And we are discussing. So right now it's zoned for commercial or industrial use. We would very much like to change that to residential and make it apartments or townhouses or condos with a dense enough, a dense sort of population there, so that the individual units could be affordable.
Yeah.
And then I'm sure everyone has heard about the 550 King Street and IBM building.
Yeah.
So the Lupoli Companies is planning on developing that. Our zoning states that there has to be 10% affordable. But we are in talks with him, or discussing at least with him, possibilities of making more of the units affordable and discounting them more deeply. Mm. And I think we're not really sure how we're going to do that yet, but there are a lot of people who are really committed to that.
Yeah. I hear that he's really a good guy, too, and that he's reasonably listening.
Yes. And I think the thing that really made me feel good about the fact that he was developing it is that his other developments in Lowell and Lawrence have been going for 20 years.
Wow.
And they're huge developments. So he's not someone who's coming in, build something and leave. He seems to invest in the communities long term.
Yeah.
And I think that's very important.
Good.
Yeah.
It's nice to see somebody come into town to do something who has that reputation.
Yep, it is.
Well, I understand that the state requires 10% affordable housing. So where do we stand there?
So we're actually above that by several percentage points.
Good.
We have been pushing affordable housing and ensuring that all of the zoning special permits that we issue, that the planning board issues, have some form of affordable housing or payments in lieu of affordable housing, which generally go to the Affordable Housing Trust, which we're using that money to try to develop more affordable housing. So the town has done really well at creating affordable housing, and so everyone is going to ask, well, where are all these units, right?
Right.
And the answer is that they're snapped up because there's such a tiny little inventory of small houses in Littleton.
True.
Right?
That's too bad, actually.
It is, and that's I think the main focus of the things we're trying to do is to create more small houses. So whether they're at IBM or whether they're at the station or whether they're at some other location, we just don't know yet. We're still trying to figure it out.
Yeah, and you can't say that small houses are just for seniors either.
No, you can't.
Because, people starting out, I mean, really, they should start with small houses because then they don't feel so, imposed upon with, things that you have to do for a house and care and price.
Yeah.
So I like that sound of that.
And the planning board has worked really hard to create the senior housing bylaw, and it's gone through a couple of revisions. And that was intended to create housing that was age restricted, but it hasn't really succeeded very well. And I think Mark Montanari, the chair of the planning board, has expressed his sort of dissatisfaction with how it's come out, not necessarily because anyone is fighting against it. It's just that the developers don't feel that it's profitable for them to build in that way.
Yeah,
so we're starting to look at other methods, and that includes the special permit and the zoning area that we put on IBM. It might include the development near the train station. And one interesting thing that just happened is that the state recently mandated that MBTA communities, and we are one of them obviously, have to put in within half a mile of the train station 50 acres of affordable housing, a total of a minimum of 750 units.
Wow.
Which is a lot.
Yeah.
And we just found out about this in the last few weeks. We just got the details in the last few weeks. Again, we're still trying to work through it. Maybe what we develop at the station area can satisfy that. It might be that 550 King Street satisfies some of that. But there's a lot of things that are kind of percolating right now.
Yeah. And I hope everybody is listening.
I hope so.
I hope somebody's watching. But at any rate, so there's a lot going on. The boards are busy.
I think there are a lot of people who are really committed to trying to find a way to make it happen.
Yeah.
And it's tough. The market is very, very expensive. Houses are very expensive right now. Developers can make a lot of money by building huge single-family homes. And so we're sort of fighting against that headwind of, we have to find the right developer and have the right land and have the right sorts of situations where we can make something good happen.
Yeah. What about all of a sudden this comes to me, nonprofit people?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So actually, I'm working with Habitat for Humanity.
Good.
We are going to try to get another Habitat house in Littleton. I don't know if you know that there's one on Oak Hill, which was built 20 years ago.
Yeah.
And I heard from the lady, the director of the Northwestern Habitat, that the mortgage on that was just paid off a few months ago.
Wow, wow.
So that's been obviously a success.
I like Habitat for Humanity. I often thought about I wanted to work with them.
Yes.
I like to build things.
I think they're a great organization.
Yeah, yeah.
And there are nonprofit or not-for-profit builders who do specifically in order to do this kind of thing. And if we can find a situation where we have land and we have the right zoning and we have an interested builder, I think the town is absolutely ready to move forward with that.
Yeah, so I think it sounds to me like you're working very hard. And, it takes time. It takes time.
It does take a long time.
And it takes work and paperwork.
Yeah.
And calls and everything to go with it. So I kind of want Littletonians to understand that it's not that everybody's sitting back and waiting.
Nope.
You're working at it.
We are. The Planning Board, the Affordable Housing Trust, the Select Board, the Housing Authority to some extent, like all of these people are really committed to trying to find ways to make it happen.
Good.
Yeah.
Good.
So.
Well, I appreciate it.
Of course.
And don't listen to gossip.
Or listen and ask questions. But,
And maybe it's a good idea to have a site or something.
Oh, that's a good idea. I was just speaking to you about this earlier. Like, I think, I don't know that there's a central location for all of the information about the affordable housing situation in Littleton, but perhaps we can find a way to put it on the town website or another website.
Yeah. People and even seniors are there now.
Oh yeah,
they are on the web.
It's a good place to get info.
I have a little problem with computers, but I go there just the same.
Good.
Thank you so much
welcome.
for being here. I appreciate it.
Well, thanks for inviting me.
Well, we'll probably have you back again.
I hope that there's something else I can talk to you about that I know something about.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And as things progress and you think it's important to tell somebody,
I think we did this before town meeting last fall. We had a short conversation about the warrant articles.
Yeah.
So maybe we'll do that again. That was fun.
Yeah.
Before the spring town meeting.
Okay. Terrific.
All right.
That's coming up in May. Yeah.
Boy.
Thank you again.
You're very welcome.
Looking forward to seeing you again.
Thanks for having me.
Yep.